back to the Jersey Comic Krew, your favorite podcast for all things pop culture, comic books, TV shows, movies, and this week especially, San Diego Comic-Con.
Woo!
And as always, I'm Chris Heller, and with me is...
Rob Moran. I am so hyped and ready to talk all things San Diego.
Yes, me too.
The city is nice. I hear the weather's beautiful.
It's amazing.
There's a beach somewhere around there.
It's all around there.
They're not an island. It's probably like on the left side.
Well, yes, obviously. Hey, just make a left and go
I mean, it depends. If you're coming from down, it's going to be to the right.
Yeah, it's, well, yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah,
it's on the west.
It's been a long weekend.
Yes, it has.
I'm really tired. It's been a lot of news and typing and adding everything and trying to make sure we didn't miss anything important.
And technical difficulties.
And a lot of technical difficulties. You have no idea.
Don't worry about it.
But yeah, it's been a lot of work, but we're very excited to talk about this stuff. And I know you've been doing a lot of social media, and we've been talking a lot back and forth, and I've been typing a lot and redoing the schedule.
I feel like I didn't cover enough. I have to do more.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot of stuff. But anyway, let's get into it.
So, guys, first thing we want to talk about, this episode here, this segment of the San Diego Comic-Con review is going to focus on comic books. So the comic books where we have started everything from TVs to movies to animation, it all started on paper. Yes. So first thing we want to talk about is that Doctor Doom is going to get an ongoing comic book series. So the man, the myth, the legend from the Fantastic Four is going to get his own series, bring him back to being a villain.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, I hope, it's not confirmed, but I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be, right? Like, everything that's gone on since his Iron Man book, Invincible Iron Man, no. Indestructible? Indefensible? Indubitable? I don't know. One of the I words.
Intelligent.
It's not that one, but that's also an I word.
Ingenious.
Ingenious Iron Man. But international, that's what it was. Boom.
Was it?
It was, yeah, because he was going around the world and doing stuff. So International Iron Man, he was kind of trying to be a hero and trying to change his ways. Fantastic Four, we see him kind of in that blurred line space, if you will. And now, hopefully, this kind of brings him back to the Doctor Doom we know and love. You know, Fantastic Four, when Invisible Woman kind of takes his clothes away in front of everyone and
shames him.
And shames him, and that anger and rage kind of comes back to him. That's like our first glimpse, you know?
Yeah. So he was originally in a gray area, and now we're bringing him back to darkness, which is great.
Yeah.
Speaking of darkness, space. And in space, there are wars sometimes. And what's another name for space? Star Wars. That's right, guys. So Star Wars...
Is Star Wars another word for space? No, it's not.
For the dumb people, it is. For people like me... And maybe...
It's another word for sun.
Maybe like two of you out there, it works.
It's another word for sun. Suns are stars.
You can ruin the joke.
I didn't know it was a joke. I just thought it was a
Anyway, Journey to Star Wars, The Rise of the Skywalker is going to be a 4-part miniseries in the Star Wars universe. It's going to take place before Episode 9 of the movies, right? And Chris, why don't you tell me what it's about?
Yeah, it's called Allegiance, Rise of Skywalker Allegiance. This is going to be kind of following Poe Dameron. And if, you know, obviously, spoilers, if you haven't seen The Last Jedi, it's weird. But at the end of The Last Jedi, when kind of there's nothing left of the Resistance anymore, and they're fleeing and kind of, like, talking about this is the start of something, and it's really just Rey, Poe, Finn, Leia, and the droids, and whoever's left of their Resistance, all getting onto the Millennium Falcon and kind of restarting. So this is Poe going out to those, you know, planets, probably planets we haven't heard of yet, or maybe some we have, and trying
Even the ones we heard of, I don't know the name.
Well, just trying to get allegiances with those planets and rebuild the Resistance against the First Order, who is now fully in power.
Led by Kylo Ren.
Led by Kylo Ren now. So this will be an in-canon prequel to this movie from the side of the Resistance and Poe, especially.
Speaking of in-canon Star Wars news, Kylo Ren. That's right. Kylo Ren is going to get his own 4-issue miniseries because he needs his own spotlight. Yes. It is going to be called, let me make sure I get the name, The Rise of Kylo Ren. It's an easy name to remember. So this book is going to focus on his descent into darkness. So from Ben Solo to Kylo Ren. How he got his name changed, how he became more of a bad man, how he got the red lightsaber. Right?
Yeah, it should be. It seems like it's going to be very much so following kind of like all those flashbacks we saw in the movies, right? Yeah. Like, you know, seeing him with the Knights of Ren in that shot where Rey has her Force vision. Seeing the stuff with Luke talking about when he was trying to train him and the rest of the young Jedi, and he kind of took over those young Jedi and became, you know, Kylo Ren and evil. They're not Sith, they're kind of like the Knights of Ren. But all that kind of stuff is something we should see in this 4-issue arc. also canon right before Episode 9. So that kind of gives Kylo Ren a little more of a, little meatier backstory.
Exactly.
In a different way, which is cool because, it might be something you and I know going into that movie that other people don't know that might connect to the movie we're seeing.
And might make the movie more of an enjoyable experience because we have more of an emotional tie. Like, we've seen you from being a goody two shoes, and now we see you being a monster that you are.
Being a monster.
Monster.
A monster.
I was gonna say bad man.
The bad man.
The monster sound better.
But yeah, so hopefully this show's kind of like, I'm guessing it's going to start out with right after Luke was had that moment of doubt where he thought he had to take him out because he felt the darkness.
I think it's going to start a little before that.
Ooh, that'd be interesting too.
I think that moment is going to be at the middle or the end of the second issue.
There's only 4. I might go first issue.
Oh.
If it's in there, I'm going to go first issue so there's more time for story.
Okay, fair enough.
But that's just me. But it could be a time jump in all of them, right? Like it could be like while he's training with Luke 1, 2 when he leaves Luke, and the Knights of Ren 3
eating cereal with Vader's helmet. It's all connected.
4 on SNL doing the hidden boss. That you don't know.
It was.
That was awesome. That was hilarious.
That's probably in there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So out of the 2 Star Wars ones, I think we're both in agreement that the Kylo Ren announcement is more of an impact for us.
Yes, but I'm getting both. But yes.
Okay.
More excited for the Kylo Ren because also Charles writing out.
Speaking of Star Wars in space in the future, a year in the future is 2099. Star Wars is a Marvel property. Marvel has announced that there's going to be a big 2099 story at the events of Amazing Spider-Man 25. So hold on. You're going to have a minute. Let me tell them what's going on.
The wheel really fell off of that segue there, man.
It was hard.
Hit a bad rock and it popped off.
That happens sometimes. I love it. So. You're probably sitting there if you're not familiar with the comic book lore. 2099, what does that mean? So there is a character in the Spider-Man mythos, Spider-Man 2099. It is not Peter Parker. Mm-mm. His name escapes me. What's his name?
His name is Miguel O'Hara.
Thank you.
2099 universe.
Thank you, comic book man. So it's going to take place there. He crashes onto our Earth, onto our time with Peter.
Breaks our streets.
Yep. Yeah, our streets. our streets. In my city. In my country. He breaks them. And then Spider-Man's like, I guess the future is in trouble.
Oh, no! Yeah, so it was a big cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And, it's a very niche area of comic books. 2099 never really established beyond just Spider-Man and Miguel O'Hara. It was a small run in the 90s. They brought it back a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And they haven't really, we were talking about it a while ago where, how DC has the Legion of Superheroes. And that's kind of their future and what they kind of can tell what their future is going to be. It's like a utopia of superheroes where, hey, all of your hard work gets us to this, where we have heroes from all over different planets and they're all working for the same cause. And this is, 2099 never really got to that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It was way darker, and it had it just focused on Miguel O'Hara and Spider-Man, because that was, the era of a billion Spider-Man. But I'm interested to see what happens, because 25 had a lot of storylines in it, you know what I mean? And that's how it cliffhanged, and so we'll see what happens. That could be a big tease for stuff upcoming in Spider-Man or DC. DC, Marvel.
Oh, jeez. You're right?
I'm fine.
Good. Another Marvel event that is coming out. They have teased that an Annihilation-related event is going to happen in the Marvel Cinematic. See, you got me. In the Marvel comic book universe. So Annihilation is an event that I personally have not read, and Chris is going to tell us what happened. But from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of set the status quo for the current Guardians of the Galaxy.
It did,
and
yeah.
It was like a space-themed adventure?
Yeah, it was space and Earth, a lot of space stuff going on. Annihilation's kind of like a...
It's a person. Well, it's
he's an alien. He's a creature.
Okay.
He's like a king of his own people. Think of the Chitauri mixed with the parademons from Apocalypse almost. And he, there's a rumor he's going to be in Ant-Man and the Wasp in the Microverse because he rules the Microverse.
Oh, wait a minute. Didn't we see him in the preview to War of the Realms? Where Hela went and wanted to get Thanos' head or something.
Wanted a deal from him. And
that's that guy, that weird bug man.
That's him. Annihilation.
If I can find the panel, we'll put a picture of up here.
I actually didn't even think about that. Yes, you're 100% correct.
Oh wow.
Hela tries to make the deal with him, and she's like, "You're gonna regret this." That I think was a little tease of what's to come.
Oh, look at me knowing things.
Look at you knowing things. Also, we were talking about this as well. There was earlier in the year, there was a Marvel timeline of events.
Okay.
That started with War of the Realms, sorry. No, Tom Cruise movie from 2004. War of the Realms. Now we're about to get into August to get into Absolute Carnage, which looks awesome.
It's a great name.
And then there was this kind of question mark for December of this year.
An unknown event.
Unknown event.
I remember.
Would you say this would be the most plausible of all the Marvel comics going on to be that said event involving Annihilation? And
Looking at our list here of what they have announced, that makes sense because that could set up a new space-themed event with the Avengers.
Which we also talked about, I believe, right?
Yes.
Because they're doing... War of the Worlds was like world-spanning, it was massive, but it was on Earth. Mm-hmm. Absolute Carnage is kind of like that singular story.
More localized, and then you were saying...
We needed there might be something like massive space, and I said maybe space or like underwater Namor, because he's been talked about.
Yes. They could do this and do it more of a space theme. They kind of like set that up. I mean, it could be a layup for the Eternals. Because we know the Eternals are happening in the MCU, which we will cover in another episode of the Jersey Comic Krew
We're going to make you watch all of it.
Yes. That laugh was weird.
I know.
Anyway.
I chuckled.
It really threw me off. I didn't know what to do. I was like, somebody. I need somebody. Help. Not just anybody. Anyway. Don't touch me. I don't want you to touch me after that.
I'm not touching. I'm bleeding.
Yeah, it's touching. I'm scared now. But no, so we're having the Eternals in the MCU. I know we'll get to the details of the movie later, but they can relate some of the Eternals into this with the Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of set the new status quo for the space area.
Because you got to figure they're probably going to bring the Eternals back into the comics.
I'm sure. And then
the movies.
And Nova Corps, like, we don't know what's been going on with them in the current comic line, so it can help with that.
Maybe it spins out of Donny Cates' Guardians arc right now, because we've seen Nova, we've seen Hela, we've seen all these different characters, world-spanning characters. We've seen Null in Guardians.
We've seen Star-Lord.
Oh man! Star-Lord! Yeah, we've seen Star-Lord as well. And Rocket's barely dying, so we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm scared. That cover's great, though, with, like, his hand on the glass, it's bloody.
Yeah.
It tells you nothing but everything at the same time.
Speaking of scary covers and great books...
Wheels back on.
X-Men. That's right. Marvel and Jonathan Hickman. Jonathan Hickman is a writer who came back to Marvel, and he's kind of doing, like, his own mini universe in the Marvel universe with the X-Men, rebooting them, getting them back to the status quo. There are going to be 6 titles spinning out of the current House of X and Powers of 10 books that are out now.
A lot of books.
So I'm going to real quick give you the names of them. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll show a picture if you're lucky. And then we're going to tell you which ones
if you're lucky.
We want. What's a lot of work we have to do here?
If you're good.
If you're,
we don't know who you are.
If you're a good person, you're going to get some visual effects. Soon we're going to have a green screen here, and then we might have like a segue that actually moves.
This is a guy dancing in a bag.
No, that'd be cool. All right, so the 6 books are 1 X-Men, makes sense. 2 Excalibur, 3 New Mutants, 4 X-Force, 5 Fallen Angels, and my favorite, Marauder 6.
Better than the core X-Men.
I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Why it's my favorite.
Okay.
So, actually, I'll just
do it now. Why's your favorite?
It's my show. Because it's X-Men and Pirates. All right, guys? The title, if you're lucky, you already saw it, has, a skull.
Yeah.
A theme
in
there.
In the A.
Yes, right? Like, I was going to say it's skull and crossbones, but there's no crossbones.
Well, the eyes are cross. It has like a hat.
Yeah, there's like a little crossbone there. And in the description, they're going to be sailing the 7 seas and making sure mutants all around are safe.
Yeah.
I just love that. And Kitty Pryde on the cover, there we go. Or she's called Kate. She got a little dragon. She got Lockheed back.
Lockheed's back.
Which is great. Lockheed's a little magical dragon. She has a little rapier, so she looks like she's pirating.
What now?
She's a rapier.
Oh, the sword. Okay. Keep going.
Did you really just make that joke?
Yeah. That was hilarious.
But on this team, we got a great team. We have Kitty Pryde. We have Storm. We have Bobby, my favorite. We have Pyro. We have Bishop.
Yep.
And Emma Frost. Yep. So I think this is my favorite title out of all of them just because it's Pirates and X-Men. All right, Chris. Out of these titles, which is your favorite?
X-Men. X-Men.
Yeah. We're talking about the X-Men. I said, which book is your favorite?
No, X-Men.
Chris.
He's doing what?
Yeah, if you're doing that joke, I'm doing that joke. Get over it.
No, my favorite title is the core X-Men title. Hands down, it's Hickman's writing it. One,
he is.
That's why it's my favorite. Two, it's the core book, so it's a flagship. It's gonna kind of dictate what happens to all the other books and kind of flow through that as well. The cast is great. Wolverine, Rachel Summers, Scott Summers, Alex Summers. So we have Havoc, Cyclops, and Rachel.
And it's coming out this summer.
Coming out this summer. Jean Grey, Young Cable, Forge, who is way low played. I love Forge. And then someone in the back who I still can't tell. I don't think it's Wonder Man, but it could be Wonder Man.
That's what I was thinking.
But yeah, it's a great core cast. I love that they're bringing the title back to X-Men, like 90s Claremont Jim Lee.
Real quick, with this cast, there's a couple things we have to notate for people who aren't hardcore X-Men fans.
Sure. How dare you.
Rachel. Tell people who Rachel is.
Daughter of Scott and Jean in a parallel universe where the mutants are kind of like the universe, like this shirt, except not Rick and Morty, where all the X-Men are hunted and branded mutants, and they're locked up and they're Sentinels and Days of Future Past style.
And now Cable, why does he look different?
Cable, because young Cable came to the present to kill older Cable because he wasn't doing his job well, which is a really hard way to lose a job, right? Like, you mentioned everyone on the planet who got fired from a job just got murdered.
So, yes, that's weird.
Right? Like, that's, again, weird.
That might help certain things.
Thanos
might be right.
Thanos was not wrong.
So, Cable is the son of Cyclops and a clone of Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor, in the future.
With Sinister.
Yes, with Sinister. He was like a test tube baby.
A lot of gobbledygook.
Yes. But, so the Cable that we see, the old Grizzle, he's way in the future. Young Cable, still in a future relative to us, but they're just not as far in the future as the old Cable. Came back to kill him, and now he's hanging out with his mom and Dad.
And Dada, who we brought back to life.
Yes, and Wolverine wants to fuck the mom.
Yes, he's Wolverine.
Yeah.
Any other titles you really like about this one? There's 6 titles. I'm probably getting just the X-Men flagship because it's Hickman, and I get so much shit that it's like I can't get everything at this point.
I'm gonna get all 6 just to see how I feel about them.
All 6 ongoing or just issue 1s?
Issue 1s.
What are you getting definite? Like, is there a definite you're getting past issue 1?
Definite ongoing is gonna be Marauders. Mm-hmm. Definite ongoing is gonna be X-Men. Mm-hmm. Everything else, I have to see how I like it.
I agree with you. I think those are the big 2 that I would want to. Marauders just looks really awesome and fun and like X-Men's Pirates. Come on.
X-Force for me, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, X-Force is fantastic." You know, they have this run. X-Force on paper always is great.
Yeah, man.
And whenever I read it, it's always a letdown. Yeah, it hurts my soul.
Since like it hasn't been as that great since the original run.
But I do like Colossus in it, so it's,
and I'm interested in Jean in it just because it's so out of her realm.
She's probably like the mom of the group. You know, every group has a mom that you love and you kind of hate at the same time because it doesn't let you do things.
Excalibur is interesting just because of
Apocalypse. Priest Apocalypse, sorry.
Looks like Priest Apocalypse. Looks like he's starting almost like a cult or some type of church where he's the first mutant. Maybe he gets followers and it's his like little twisty turn, the minds, and
maybe he's trying to bang Jubilee.
Oh, poor Jubilee. Anyway,
she can handle it.
But yeah, a lot of X-Men books going on. Let us know your guys' favorites. Which ones are you excited for and why?
Yes, in the comments down below.
Yep.
Good call. And speaking of that, since we're talking about that, that's right. If you're watching on YouTube, please do me a huge favor. Hit the like button. Hit that bell icon. Subscribe. It really helps us out, especially when we're growing the channel. Share with your friends. If you're listening to the audio version on this, share with your friends. Leave a review. It really helps us in the rankings. And make sure you follow us on our social media. It's all down on the link below. Moving on.
Yep.
I got some more Marvel news for you. Ooh. The King of Hell is coming to the surface. Now you might be like, "Oh, who's the King of Hell?" Satan's coming now. No, not Satan. Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider, Nick Cage, from the movies that some people think are horrible and I secretly love. So
they're entertaining. He's just so bad.
He is so good as the Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, protector of the world.
I would be totally content if they recasted him as Ghost Rider
today.
I'd be like
62-year-old Ghost Rider.
I think I'd be the only one in the theater day one.
I raised that stake. Robbie Reyes, main Ghost Rider, cameo Nick Cage, Ghost Rider teaches Robbie Reyes how to be Ghost Rider. Yeah.
I think we just made the best movie. Marvel, we're ready.
It's time to be the Rider and Protector.
Mm-hmm. Who do you cast as Robbie Reyes? The guy from the TV show?
No. Gotta go bigger. That's a good question. It has to be Hispanic.
Okay.
Actor. Gotta be congruent with that.
I agree.
Ooh, what about... No, he's too old.
You think Antonio Banderas too?
Actually, he still looks phenomenal. He could probably do it. No. I was actually thinking Diego Luna, but he's doing Cassian Andor.
Okay.
Or I was thinking the guy who plays Oberyn Tyrell in Game of Thrones and who's going to be the Mandalorian, but he's also too old. He's too old.
I don't know. I think we need an unknown for this.
I think we might need an unknown for Robbie Reyes. The guy who played him wasn't terrible. It's just TV. And,
yeah.
I don't know if he would be able to play him on a big scale. But he's the Terminator in that new Terminator movie. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Terminator movie. I don't like that.
What?
No, I love the movies. Don't get me wrong. I love 1 and 2.
It's
3 is even fine.
This is going back to after 2.
I know, it's cutting everything out and it's going to this.
You didn't add this to the list, did you?
No, I took it away.
You took it off the list, you
did.
son of a bitch.
I gave you Top Gun.
No, you gave the world Top Gun back. He took off Top Gun. I made him put it back. We're putting Terminator back on the map. It's going to be great.
I don't have the clip downloaded for it.
You're fighting.
All right, moving on. In the Marvel world, Marvel has teased that there is a King of Marvel. So what that means is definitely going to have the image posted up somewhere here. Mm-hmm. You get a silhouette of a man, presumably a man, especially with King, otherwise it'd be Saint Queen, right? Sitting in a throne, grabbing a scepter on top of some kind of space alien under the sea. I don't know, some kind of monster.
Kingsman seat.
Right?
Yeah.
Think it's Namor.
That's cool.
Thinking Namor, the King of the Sea. But looking at that picture again, I know we're talking about this off air, and I know who yours is. Mm-hmm. You definitely have to say it to them. I think you're right. Mm-hmm. Namor's too bulky for that silhouette.
Yeah. Which is, well, yes and no, because he's an underwater man, right? So he's ripped, but he's sleek.
Yeah.
He's in the water all the time, but he's ripped.
He's like me. We're ripped, you know.
Anyway,
Thank you for not doing it to me. I was really worried.
He's like, I'm setting you up for a joke that I hope you don't make.
You're a big person.
Anyway, the point is, we've been trying to figure out who this quote-unquote king is of Marvel, and we don't necessarily think it's a hero. It could be a villain.
That's what you're saying, yes.
And it could be someone who's the king of something. And we were talking about Avengers and Johnny Blaze is coming back and Robbie Reyes is in Avengers.
Yeah, it's too obvious to be the king of hell is the king of Marvel. Right?
Yeah. So what I mentioned was it could be Dracula.
I really like this.
Because Dracula, we got him in a small arc in Avengers.
It was a good arc. Very good arc.
Good arc in Avengers, but it was small because it was pre War of the Realms. It was getting into that. Originally, they were gonna he wanted to die because he's just so old and irrelevant, and they put him in Chernobyl, and they take him to Russia and leave him there.
Real quick.
Yeah.
They had in this arc, if you ever read it, there was a gang of vampires who were vampire hunters who want to take down Dracula's army. Pretty much killed a whole bunch of vampires. Turned out they were working for him the whole time.
Yep.
And Blade killed one of them, and it's fine.
And Blade has the little grass man thing creature.
Yeah,
it's Man Thing's child.
It's a splinter. I think the way they described it was like a cut off of Man Thing that grew into its own thing that kind of gave him some superpowers.
Yep.
Oh, let me rephrase that. Enhanced abilities, because and then he can do a couple things. I don't like superpowers because he has superpowers.
Yep.
And yes, they got banished to Chernobyl to die. Well, he went to Chernobyl, I think.
But that's what he wanted.
Yes, that's what he wanted.
And he was fooling everyone. Like you said, they turned on him. He ended up working for Dracula the whole time. So that could be a huge storyline, especially with Johnny Blaze coming back, especially with Robbie Reyes as the Ghost Rider in Avengers. Dracula's a lot bigger of a villain than we actually.
In there.
And Blade, 100%. And Robbie, Johnny, Blade. Those are big, dark characters. We saw a lot of the other dark characters. Well, Dracula's a bigger, darker character than most people realize in Avengers.
So they're probably creating their own Dark Avengers or something to that effect.
Yeah, or they have him as a big bad.
Spirits of Vengeance, I think that's what it is. Spirits of Vengeance was their team of their dark stuff back in the olden days.
Yep, it was Spirits of Vengeance.
So I'd be really cool for that.
That'd be awesome because Dracula's the king of vampires. So
yeah.
That could be again. It could be a hero we don't know, or an anti-hero.
Do you think they're gonna do a trick and make the woman?
No, I think, like you said, they do the Queen of... They name it the Queen.
I have my final guess.
What else?
Mickey Mouse.
Howard
just
the
kills people. Howard the Duck. He doesn't look like a duck.
I don't know. I don't know if it's... As a hero, I can't think of anything, because to me, the King of Marvel isn't... That's not a name for a hero. You know what I mean? Because a hero wouldn't be someone who gives himself that title. Like, I can't see Captain America calling himself a king. The only person that would be close would be like a Luke Cage or a Cottonmouthy type, but that seems too small.
Too small. That's on top of a space alien sea creature, whatever it is. I was thinking Loki, but that's too. They already did Loki.
Vampires in space.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be sick.
Maybe there are.
They start eating like Kree blood and turn like different powers and shit. Or like Skrulls, and then like the vampires can disappear and then turn into look like normal people.
Oh, please do a cool arc like that. Cool. If not, don't touch it ever. I'll do it when I get there.
Skrull War 2. Instead of the Kree Skrull War, do Vampire Skrull War.
No.
I should have stopped there.
Yeah.
I should have stopped at that one.
You ruined everything.
But I do like
you're undercutting yourself so much.
But I do like the other idea of like
they can eat the scrolls and they get the powers
in the space and they can shapeshift.
Yeah. That was good. Should stop there. All right. Speaking of stopping, the person we're talking about does not stop.
Can't stop.
Tom King and Mitch Gerards. I did it again, Mitch. I'm so sorry.
Gerards.
It's Gerards. I have an uncle with the same name, and I butcher it. I am sorry, Mitch.
Did you call him Uncle Gerards?
I should.
It's a great name.
I'm like, hey, Uncle Gerards.
Gerards.
My Uncle Gerard is very like a stern guy. He's like, fuck you. I'm like, oh, sorry. Go kill moose. He hunts animals.
Oh, he's a hunter?
Yeah, he's cool. He taught me how to skin an animal. We're off track. Anyway, so...
You should have stopped at us.
I did it, you. So, Tom King and Mitch Gerards are teaming up for another book. They are going to do Adam Strange, a book for 2020.
Cool.
Adam Strange is, an astronaut in space. He has some powers. He can see well. He can fight. I don't know a lot about him.
Yeah, he basically...
A rocket man?
He is a rocket man, burning out a steam out there alone. But he's...
Good reference.
He is an old school 50s hero.
Okay.
When you think DC in the 50s, you think sci-fi. You think Superman exploring space and alien races and, searching for new areas and different colored kryptonite. And Adam Strange is all part of that epic societal movement of space questioning and space exploration.
Didn't we see Adam Strange recently in like a Green Lantern book or something?
He was in Green Lantern, yeah. He was in one of the...
He was like dying or something.
He was in one issue of the Green Lantern by Morrison and Liam Sharp. And yeah, he was kind of like space... helping out Hal Jordan, kind of like space detectiving too.
Okay.
But yeah, think of Adam Strange as kind of like a better version of Booster Gold in a lot of ways. Like, he can time travel, but he doesn't fuck shit up like Booster does all the time. And he has really good fighting skills, and like you said, he has the jetpack, and he's like kind of cool. So I'm guessing this is a modern telling?
I'm very confident with Tom King doing this. I'm going to fall in love with the character, and he's going to teach me who the character is, show me a different light. It's obviously going to be a down-to-earth character because he doesn't really have that bombastic power set that you're going to fall in love with. Yep. So it's going to be more about who he is and why I got to this position. So Mitch, I'm ready.
It's going to be
Take
great.
my money.
It's going to be great because if you've read Vision or if you read Mr. Miracle, this seems to be right in line with that.
I think Mr. Miracle is a more accurate comparison because obviously it's the same team. Both DC, but the art style of Mitch in space, I think, is going to play a big strength to this.
I think so too.
And already the covers look fantastic. You should see them somewhere here, or you already saw them.
Yeah, and if you want to see more of him, he's on Krypton right now on the show.
Oh, cool.
He's been on since the beginning of the show. The whole premise is Adam Strange comes back in time to tell Superman's grandfather that, like, you have to do all these things, not going to spoil it, but you have to do all these things so your future grandson, who is the savior of our planet, doesn't disappear. And it's almost like the countdown clock where they put up, very Back to the Future too, where they put his cape up and it's like slowly disappearing as time goes on until they change it. So Adam Strange is a huge part of Krypton. Cool. Yeah, and it's a good show. So, like, if you want a little more Adam Strange, it's not going to be just like the comics, obviously, but you get a lot of his story and things that he is and kind of the type of, kind of like a normal dude, and it's really cool.
Speaking of wanting a little bit more, if you guys want a little bit more of this episode and of this content, of this podcast, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like, hit the bell, because we're done with this episode.
Yes.